Spartans are immensely powerful super soldiers of the UNSC whom have experienced surgical augmentation, cybernetic enhancement, and genetic alterations to make them taller, stronger, faster, and on the whole better than the average human being across practically every possible dimension. They embody the best of humanity and amplify everything that it is to be human to the nth degree. Spartans are created or built from the foundations of the base human physiology. Spartans come from every walk of life, every ethnicity, and every culture of humanity in the 26th century, with both sexes being equally represented in the respective Spartan programs. But there is something, an idea, an observation, that has been perpetuating across the Halo community since Halo Reach was released, and has continued to grow to the point that I would like to address it. We need to talk about the booty. Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we're tackling a shaky, controversial and often misinterpreted argument specifically relating to the physical appearance of male and female characters within Halo, with particular focus on the Spartans. Specifically, I want to address the point of sexual dimorphism in Halo, and how it is manifested in previous games, books and media, and more recently in Halo Infinite. I want to try to answer the question: is it necessary to depict female Spartans with wide hips, small waists, large thighs, and a voluptuous derriere? Stick with me here because I didn't take this particular subject lightly, and I'd like to think we can actually walk through this logic together and then open the dialogue once the video has ended for additional conversation, as opposed to people assuming the worst and just going straight to the comment section and shitposting. So can we try to avoid that, please? Head over to the Discord if you really want to hash this argument out. The link is below. I'm very frequently on the Discord and you can find me there, and I'm more than happy to discuss this further. Sexual dimorphism is defined as being the physical and psychological differences between the sexes of the same species, and one need only look at typical examples of our own species to immediately notice that there are, on average, very clear differences between males and females. So you'd expect this to carry over to the characters in-game, and generally speaking, this is a non-issue. Of course it carries over perfectly well. Female and male characters are represented in a very realistic fashion given the context of the events taking place in the Halo universe. Except where they're not. Starting with Halo Reach, female Spartans had very obvious assets. Before Halo Reach, with the likes of Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3 and ODST, there really wasn't a separate male and female character model. In fact, in Halo CE it was just the Master Chief model. In Halo 2 you could pick between Master Chief and an Elite. And to be fair, in Halo 3 you could still only pick a normal Spartan and outfit them with different types of armour, but it was the first time that a female voice was available for customization. Halo Reach brought forward the female character model. And since then, the community have had better customization options for representation of male and female body types. However, I'm sure many would agree that the female body type was oftentimes very generous in certain physical proportions. And I suppose the real question to ask here is it necessary to showcase female Spartans with wide hips and small waists and large thighs and an abundance of cake? Well, to answer that, let's take a quick look at human sexual dimorphism. You see, modern day Homo sapiens show a range of sexual dimorphism, with average body mass differences between the sexes being roughly equal to 15%. The average basal metabolic rate is about 6% higher in adolescent males than females, and increases to about 10% higher after puberty. Females tend to convert more food into fat cells, while males tend to convert more into muscle and expendable circulating energy reserves. Aggregated data of absolute strength indicates that females have, on average, 40 to 60% the upper body strength of males and 70 to 75% the lower body strength. The difference in strength relative to body mass is less pronounced in trained individuals. In Olympic weightlifting, male records vary from about 5.5 times body mass in the lowest weight category to about 4.2 times in the highest weight category. Female records vary from 4.4 times to 3.8, a weight-adjusted difference of only about 10 to 20%, at an absolute difference of about 40%. A study carried out by analysing annual world rankings from 1980 to 1996 found that males' running times were on average 11% faster than females. Females are taller on average than males in early adolescence, but males on average surpass them in height in later adolescence and adulthood. In the United States, males are on average 9% taller and 16.5% heavier than adult females. It goes further than just physicality, of course. Males typically have larger trachea and branching bronchi with about 30% greater lung volume per body mass. On average, males have larger hearts, 10% higher red blood cell count, higher hemoglobin, hence greater oxygen carrying capability. They also tend to have higher circulating clotting factors, including vitamin K, prothrombin and platelets. These differences lead to faster healing wounds and higher peripheral pain tolerance. Females typically have more white blood cells, stored and circulating, more granulocytes and B and T lymphocytes. Additionally, they produce more antibodies at a faster rate than males, hence they develop fewer infectious diseases and succumb for shorter periods of time when they do get sick. Ethologists argue that females interacting with other females and multiple offspring in social groups have experienced such traits as a selective advantage. And even further to this, sexual dimorphism plays a role in human psychology as well, but experts currently disagree to quite what extent. Sources and references for these statistics and their associated published papers are all available in the description. And again, these statistics are an average and doesn't actually fully represent the outliers of the bell curve, in that there will be women that are stronger than men, there will be men that are weaker than women, and vice versa, as well as variance in anatomy and pathology unique to individuals. These statistics are taken on an average. So with this very clear sexual dimorphism in mind, is it necessary to showcase female Spartans in this way? Well, one could argue, since it is a human trait to have sexual dimorphism, it should be represented, and you'd be absolutely right. Except we're not really talking about sexual dimorphism in humans in Halo, are we? Our characters are Spartans, a category of human, yes, but they're wearing an extremely advanced powered exoskeleton system designed to protect the wearer from ballistic and energy weapons, from combat, extremes of environment, and boost the Spartans' already superhuman capabilities immensely. And we never see our Spartan character out of their armour. So we're actually talking about the sexual dimorphism of Mjolnir. This is a very important point to make. Mjolnir was originally designed to do exactly what it is needed to do. So it would protect the wearer, it would amplify strength, augment speed, provide additional situational awareness, maintain a pressured and breathable atmosphere in all environments, including the vacuum of space. It was not designed to bear rank insignia or medals, for example, which is why no Spartan is running through the battle with a chest full of campaign ribbons and medals. It's not designed to be taken off and put on as easily as battle fatigues. It has to be assembled around the wearer with a team of technicians in a sterile clean room and taken off in a similar fashion. It was also not designed to highlight the differences between males and females. This was attested to in many of the books, with particular emphasis on the Fall of Reach and First Strike, where all Spartans looked practically identical. In fact, in the Fall of Reach, it was said that the only person who could tell the Spartans apart was Dr. Halsey, and that was mainly because she could recognise the unique walking gait and physicality of each of the Spartans, which was even mildly irritating to the Spartans that she was even able to do that. Many other servicemen and women were incapable of deciphering if a Spartan was male or female at any given time. In the book The Cole Protocol, Spartan 111 Adriana was sat unarmoured in a booth in a bar when Mr. Delegato approached from behind and made note of the massive, broad-shouldered, muscular form filling the booth, with triceps bigger than his, only to realise that they were a woman when he got alongside her. This was a theme mirrored in the animated short Babysitter from Halo Legends, when the identity of the Spartan is revealed to be that of Spartan 141, Cal, after the ODSTs accompanying her had assumed she was a male. Mjolnir isn't designed to highlight the sex of the wearer, so in that regard, is it even necessary to do so? Well, again, it's not quite that easy. From a lore perspective, the Gen 1 platforms in particular were the suits that weren't really designed to highlight sexual dimorphism, but they were designed to fit the wearer as closely and as comfortably as possible. As such, a Spartan such as Cat B320, who may have had a slighter form than others and wearing the Mark V Air Assault variant, which itself is a less bulky and more streamlined armour, made her physical shape much more apparent. It may just be that some of the more prominent Spartan members that we've seen that have been showcased thus far are women who naturally have a slightly more curvaceous form than others. Human bodies come in all shapes and sizes after all, and if you look at the comparative difference between, say, Spartan Cat B320, Spartan Vale, Linda, and Commander Palmer, you can see that there is an array of different body types that are being displayed. The later Gen 2 platform was likened to a performance sports car in form and function versus the light armoured tank that was the Gen 1 platform. The immense innovations in materials and processes that went into the Gen 2 platforms alongside the simplification and modular design of the underlayers of the Gen 2 enabled these suits to fit much more closely to the wearer. In this circumstance, it was something of an inevitability that sexual dimorphism would be more immediately apparent. But from a practical standpoint, in regards to engaging the player and immersing them into the character that they play as, it was an important decision to give players greater customization of their character, and with the rapidly increasing female player base, provisions had to be made to facilitate inclusion of female players into the Halo universe. Unfortunately, with this came the minefield that is navigating a situation where player customization and inclusion is maintained, the lore of the game itself is enforced, but while also trying to avoid the pitfalls of mistaken claims of over-sexualization. Spartans are super soldiers. Soldiers have to be in exceptional physical condition to do what they do. This goes doubly for a super soldier based 500 years in the future. So how did 343 Industries mediate this situation and come to a customization system which addressed all of these points and avoided the pitfalls? They kept it armor focused. We are very unlikely to ever see our character out of armor, so the best way to give the players broad customization options to tailor to their own unique self-image as a Spartan super soldier is to make the armor systems customizable irrespective of sex and gender. Rather than picking between a Superman type physique for a male character and the slender, small waist and big bummed physique for a female character, they ignored the physiques of the person underneath completely, and instead made the armor change only marginally between male and female characters. Indeed, onwards from that, 343 has actually retroactively updated the Master Chief Collection and removed the conventional gender or sex-based body types altogether, and switched it to heavy or light armor, pushing this idea that the person underneath can be practically any body type, and the armor is just doing its job of protecting the wearer. You can even select the heavy or light variant independent from the perceived voice, so a female voice can occupy both the light and heavy variant, and the male voice can do the same. This means that when you consider the armor is adding substantial size and shape to the wearer due to its thickness and multiple layers, the light armor variant could easily be covering a very slim and athletically built male, or a female physique, and the heavy armor could just as easily be a larger built female or the quote-unquote typical male physique. It allows for variance in perception and effortlessly allows the player to superimpose themselves as the wearer of the suit. In Halo Infinite they doubled down on this. The voice is still independent from the body type, although we have many more voice profiles now. The body type now features 3 major variations that are all indistinct in description, being that of body type 1, 2 or 3, and as such many different physiques and personal self-images are catered to. The vast majority of people seem to accept that you're playing as a 7-foot tall super soldier wearing a half-ton of super advanced titanium armor, and as such no matter what way you look at it, your character is going to effectively be a bipedal tank. In an ideal world, I'd love to see a huge variance in armour systems. I'd love to see an extremely up-armoured version of the Gen 3 as well as a massively stripped-down variant, which is basically just the tech suit with a small armoured backpack containing the power supply and a mesh of energy shield projectors across its surface. You could balance them from a gameplay perspective by making the up-armoured version much slower to move in but gives more protection, and the stripped-down version extremely fast but gives less protection. I'd love for the Gen 1 and Gen 2 variants to still be available or make a return, and I'd also love to see the semi-powder filtration variants. But the practicality of putting all of these into a single game is an immense undertaking and something that I don't think we'll be seeing for a long time, if at all. But the concept of having so many different armour cores, so to speak, would not only play into customization and really rooting your own character into the universe with their own style, but also allow players to showcase a greater range of body types, as is completely natural for a species such as ours. Nevertheless, there are still petitions on change.org that reference a desire to make female characters more curvaceous. The argument is somewhat fundamentally flawed because the females wearing the armour can be as shapely as you'd like, but the Gen 3 platform that the Spartans wear is a suit of armour built with the modularity of the Gen 2 platform but with the raw size and power of the Gen 1 platform, meaning that the shape that the petition is asking for falls outside of the bell curve of the vast majority of body types, and the armour would mask a great deal of this variance anyway. The reality is that Halo, in the past and currently, has performed exceptionally well at inclusion of male and female players and customization, has mediated a difficult and complex sociological construct surrounding gender, sexes and body types, and done so by simply leaning into the very law of the universe they are creating, and making player identity attainable by subtly reiterating that your character is a vacant suit of armour that you climb into, that the body inside of the suit is yours, and the armour is just doing its job. There is enough aesthetic variance to accommodate the vast majority of body types one would encounter within the context of the law of the Spartans, while also being conservative enough to not overemphasize the clear physiological differences between male and female. Tie this together with completely independent but interswappable personal identifiers such as body types, voices, and the like. Halo has, unlike so many others, become an exceptional example of the balance of these assets and how easily it can be attained and mediated through the thoughtful and intelligent application of logic, law, and technical solutions for personal customization. So, is it necessary to showcase female Spartans with tiny waists and big butts? No, it's not necessary, but being accommodating for players' customization and varying body types, and addressing this through the lens of the applicable law in the Halo universe just makes sense. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking and subscribing. I just want to give a quick shout out to my patrons and YouTube members: Spartan10148, my Metarch, Dylan, FalconX003, Kenwood, Irrefutable Justice, Leon, Neek and Ramiz, my monitors, Alvin, Andrew, Brand, Brian, Cameron, Chris, Darian, Devon, Flaming Halo, Greenblood, Kyle, Legions Lost, Michael, Prophet Bear, Spartan and Wolf, my sub-monitors, my fleet of Strato Sentinels, my diligent enforcers, and all the other awesome people that have jumped aboard to support the channel over at Patreon. Another shout out to Todd Morrison, my transcendent YouTube member. And just one quick reminder to support us on all major social media channels, including Discord. Much love from 00. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.